Hi, it's Kaeyi. We've been at EA playing Crysis 3 for the past 2 days, and this is my review. Make sure to check it out. And I've got 2 puppets with me. Be scared. So this is going to be a first impressions review based on the experience I had over the course of the 2 days on Thursday and Friday with EA, playing and watching a lot of footage on Crysis 3. Now, to explain my full experience, I went to the iMax on the Thursday to watch a lot of multiplayer content on the big screen, as well as some new trailers that have been released for Crysis 3. We also then went to the EA offices on Friday and got to play through the first 4 missions of the single player campaign. So this review is going to be based off that experience alone, as the game releases today in North America and on Thursday for the rest of Europe. So let's start off with the basics. The first thing that I experienced first-hand through gameplay is the tutorial system. Now, straight off, I knew this tutorial system was going to be very in-depth, very simple, and very easy and user-friendly for those people who may not be extremely experienced in FPS games. Myself included, FPS is something that I'm very new to. Joining Hardware Heaven, it opened up my gaming genre a lot wider than it normally would have been, and I've played a lot more FPS games in the past few months than I have in the past of my life. So I was still very new, didn't know how to no-scope 360 and all of that nonsense, so I was really excited to see a tutorial system that really went into detail of everything that I could learn, all the skills that I would need to be able to be successful in completing these missions without dying a million times. The tutorial system is very clear, it goes through everything step by step, and also the design of it is amazing. I've never seen a tutorial system quite like this. Normally you have a tutorial in the sense that your first mission is sort of a tutorial, but this is a separate kind of gameplay system altogether. It's really sleek, the design is really cool, and you can continue to play through the tutorial as long as you want to. At the end, it kind of gives you a fun playground style environment where you can continue to kill enemies and do objectives just to get that practice in. It's very separate, it's unique, and I think it's the best tutorial system that I've seen in any game, let alone an FPS game. There are a lot of controls to master in Crysis 3. There's various number of abilities that you can choose on the fly and use at any given time. There's things like stealth, a shield, your cloaking, you've got grenades, you've got guns, plus your bow and arrow. There are a lot of things to use at various times, so a lot of controls to remember. I was playing this on PC, so you had G for grenade, E for cloak, Q for your armor shield, and just things like this you needed to remember. If I had a Razer Naga with me, it would have been simple and I would have binded all of those to the buttons on the right hand side of my mouse. But because I didn't, I had to really remember the key bindings on the keyboard, so that's something to note. You may prefer playing on a PS3 or an Xbox if you find it easier to toggle the buttons and things like that on a controller rather than a keyboard and mouse. As always, you can plug a controller into your PC to make that easier as well if you would rather use your PC than a console. Let's move on to the single player campaign. Now, this is strictly single player. There is no co-op campaign in Crysis 3. The single player campaign is very story driven. You know a lot about Prophet, who he is, his past in the very beginning of the game. The first mission starts off basically where you're breaking free, you learn a lot about how to kill enemies, you get given your bow for the first time, you're using various different guns, you're shown how to kill helicopters, how to target and stealth kill enemies, as well as do various objectives, collect tapes and watch videos, and you get a lot of cutscenes in there to learn about the story as well as the gameplay. As you go through the missions, you go through a variety of environments. You start out in a kind of a factory warehouse scenario, you move into the jungle, then to sewers, and then to kind of a swampy type area, and that's the first 4 missions. The environments change dramatically and the graphics are amazing. You go from really bright open areas, you've got big turret shooters at you, to a swamp like eerie area with abandoned shacks and it's really dark and dreary and it's hard to see things, and it's really cool how you can use your various abilities, like being able to see the body temperatures, to stealthing, and it's just a great use of the environment, as well as actually just being able to use your FPS skills to get those snipe shots and being able to stealth kill people. I really like the mix of the storyline and the FPS type game. A lot of campaigns in FPS games are a little bit weak on the story mode, and a lot of people just buy this type of game for the multiplayer modes. However, I would say that Crysis 3 has a really strong single player campaign, and it's something that you really would enjoy playing if you are one of those competitive FPS players, as well as someone who just likes stories. I thoroughly enjoyed playing through the first 4 missions, and it's the longest I've ever spent just sat down playing an FPS game that wasn't as story heavy as some other titles. However, I did find that I was picking up the skills necessary to complete the missions, and I was really getting into it. When you first get your first stealth kill, or you use your bow and arrow and get like a headshot with an explosive arrow, it's really cool. Hacking and controlling turrets is another thing you can do in the game, and it's really satisfying when you successfully hack, control a turret, and then it's killing all the enemies around you, saving you a lot of hassle. It's really cool, and successfully doing like a ghost run of a mission is also very difficult but really rewarding at the end. Now let's move on to the multiplayer aspects of the game. The one multiplayer mode that I got to experience at the iMax was Hunter mode. Now basically what this mode is you have a group of, I think, 12 people. 2 of those people will start as hunters, the rest of them are cell operatives, and basically it's hunters versus cell operatives. And the main aspect of the hunter's role is to kill the cell operatives. Once the cell operatives die, they then become hunters as well. And so it's a game of cat and mouse really, and the main job of the cell operatives is to stay alive and really survive, use the environment to hide. When the hunters come close to you, if you are a cell operative, it starts beeping and making this loud noise in your ear, kind of like a heartbeat, and you can sense them getting closer and closer. And obviously when they're really close to you, it's going like mad, so you can try and kill them. You can also use various different weapons to visualize where the hunters are by using certain bombs that make a bubble, and you can see any hunters that are in the area. So it's really cool. It's a really fun new mode that they've got in Crysis, and I really want to try this out. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to play it. However, I did watch a tournament at the iMax where they had 12 people from the audience basically playing this live on the Twitch stream. So if you do want to check out some of the live gameplay of this mode, go over to twitch.tv/GameSpot, and they should have a recording up on there to show the tournament. It's really cool. I thought that the hunters would be really overpowered. However, at the beginning, the cell operatives were winning pretty much every time. As the hunters became more skilled and were learning how to use their skills and get around the environment, because they run a lot faster than cell ops, it became that the hunters were winning a lot more than usual. And I just think it's a really skilled based multiplayer mode, and it seems a lot of fun. And basically you get ranked on your score. You get scores for killing, you get points that way, and you get points for staying alive. So even if you die right in the beginning as a cell op, you can then become a hunter and get points for killing people. So it's not game over if you die as a cell operative. You can still then get a lot of points by becoming a hunter and killing people. So it's a really fair way of actually just testing people's skill by killing and surviving, so it's really fun. Overall, I think Crysis 3, from my first impressions, will appeal to the people who are loving competitive multiplayer FPS games, and for people who love really strong story-driven single-player campaigns. If you're looking for something that you can play with your friends and have a good time with, get competitive, get your rankings up and things like that, then the multiplayer modes are perfect. But when your friends aren't online and you're alone but you still want to play the game, go single player campaign. It's just as fun, the story is great, and you'll really pick up the skills necessary to win those modes in multiplayer. I'm going to give this, on my first impressions, a gold. I didn't find really anything that I found wrong with this game. I didn't find anything annoying. The combat was really smooth. Toggling all of the abilities was really easy once you learned where they were on your keyboard. The multiplayer modes look amazing, and there wasn't really any bugs or anything like that from what I could see. I think this game is fresh, it's ready, it's got some new things in that the FPS genre needs, and I think it'll be very enjoyable, and there's a lot of playability. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye! Bye.